Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be doing a lot of reading. So I have a ton of books that I need to read in the month of February because I have the Women's and Words book club pick, I have my Patreon buddy read, and this month I'm doing a video for my patrons where I read 3 different books in a reading vlog. So that's just a lot of books that are kind of on my list that I have to get to in February. And I've been kind of stressing about it a little bit, I can't lie. So I figured what a better way to essentially force myself to get ahead on these things and actually read all of these books than to start off the month with a 24-hour readathon, but we're doing a timer method this time. I have done this one other time, it was super fun. Actually, it was super fun until like the last hour. Once I was in that home stretch, I was like, dear God, make it end. But the first 23 hours were a really good time. So I decided I wanted to do it again. If you guys don't know what this is, basically I'm going to start a timer on my phone every time I'm reading. And then when I stop reading, I will stop the timer. So it's not a normal 24-hour readathon where you just do it for a span of 24 hours. Like I'm actually going to be reading for 24 hours straight. You know? So I do have quite the TBR. I have 4 lovely books that I'm hoping to get to in this video. They're all YA, so I think they're gonna be super fun and pretty easy to fly through, so let's talk about them. The first one that I have here is probably the one that I'm the most excited to get to, and that is A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. This is the Women's and Words book club pick for February. It is the second book in the An Ember in the Ashes quartet. I finished An Ember in the Ashes last week. I really enjoyed it, so I've been so excited to jump into the second book in the series. I'm very intrigued to see where things are going to go because this is a 4-book series and we're only on book 2, so I have no clue what's about to go down in this book, but I cannot wait to find out. The next book I have here is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I also cannot wait to get to this one just because so many people love this series and I want to know why. I have started this book previously. I don't remember a single thing about it though, so it'll basically be like I'm reading it for the first time, and I can't wait to see what I think of this one. Then the other 2 books that I have on here are from my 2024 TBR, and I'm hoping to slowly whittle it down month by month because I would like to just once maybe finish it, or at least get kind of close to finishing my yearly TBR, so I selected 2. I thought that would be good. So first up we have Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second book in the Skyward series, which is a young adult sci-fi series. It's so fun. I read the first book last year and I really enjoyed it, but I didn't get around to the second one because I was kind of focusing on more autumnal, wintry books towards the end of last year. But now that I don't really have a specific vibe that I'm wanting my books to fulfill, it's time to jump back into this series. So yes, I have no clue where this one is gonna go, but we are certainly going to find out. And then the last one that I have on here is the one that I'm the most hesitant about, but I've been meaning to continue the series because I just need to know how I feel about it. And that is Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. This is the second book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series. I've talked about how I feel about Daughter of Smoke and Bone quite a few times on this channel. I just have very mixed feelings about it, but I've been meaning to continue the series because I feel like it's gonna get back to a place where I really enjoy it, you know? So it's time to pick this one up. I'm also just really hoping I do end up liking this series because, as I'm sure a lot of you know, I love Strange the Dreamer with all my heart. The series as a whole is exquisite. So I'm gonna be really sad if I don't like Laini Taylor's other series, but obviously I need to read it first to make that judgment. So this is the last book on my TBR. So here is the TBR. We have a very nice color palette going on, like a lot of navy and blue. It's really pretty. Props to me for picking a very nice color palette for this TBR, but I believe all of these books are over 400 pages, so we've got a lot of reading to do. I don't know if I'm going to fully be able to finish all 4, but I think I should be able to finish 3 of these at least. I'm so excited to get into this vlog. I hope you guys are as well. I'm thinking I might start with the longest book, which is Days of Blood and Starlight, I believe. This one is over 500 pages. It's 513 pages, so I'm thinking I'm gonna start with this one. I might jump back and forth between this and The Raven Boys because I do also really want to start this, and I feel like kind of jumping back and forth will keep me a bit more engaged. Or maybe I'll just get really confused. I don't know, but we'll see. So I am going to be starting my 24 hours tomorrow. I just wanted to film the intro today, so when I'm ready tomorrow, I can just, you know, get into some reading. So I will see you all tomorrow with my first reading update. I cannot wait to get into this. I feel like it's been a minute since I've done a more challenge type of reading vlog, so yes, can't wait. I will see you guys tomorrow with my first update. Okay, so I'm here to give you my very first update of the readathon. So, it's 4 p.m. the next day. Admittedly, it has taken me a bit longer than I was hoping it would to give you guys this first update, but it's fine. I had a fairy light crisis this morning. It's, you know, we've all been there. I've read for 2 hours and 28 minutes so far. I'm hoping to, well, my original goal was to read for 8 hours today. I don't know if that's going to happen now. It's theoretically still possible. Well, we'll see. But enough of that. Let me give you like the actual reading update. So I started with the Raven Boys and I'm really liking it so far, which I'm very happy to report. I feel like I'm always a bit scared when I pick a TBR for like a 24-hour readathon and I'm starting like a new series because I'm like, what if I hate it? What if it's so bad and I hate DNFing books? Like, I'll do it, but I don't enjoy doing it, so I'm always scared because I'm like, what if I spend like 150 pages reading this book and then I decide I hate it and then I've wasted all this time for the readathon? Again, not a big deal, but like something that plagues me still. All that to say is that I'm liking the Raven Boys, so do with that other information what you will. Anyway, I have made it to page 212, so let me give you guys an idea of how I'm feeling about it so far. I am really liking the characters. I feel like plot-wise not a lot has really gone on, which honestly is what I was kind of expecting from this series. A couple of people have told me, like in comments and stuff, that, you know, it's not really about the plot. Like, the plot's kind of interesting, but I think a lot of people really love the characters in this series, and I can definitely see why already, because I am already really liking the characters. So you have our main character, Blue, who is a part of this psychic family, but plot twist, she is like the only person in this family who does not have psychic abilities. She can act as like an amplifier to other people's abilities, but on her own she can't really do much. And I am liking her so far, but I do think her personality as of right now is like a little bit bland and I don't really know a lot about her, but obviously as the series progresses I'll probably learn more, but right now I'm kind of just like, you know, she's fine. She's fine. But I feel like we've really been focusing on kind of this group of 4 boys that are called the Raven Boys, as the title would suggest. And they're kind of who I'm really enjoying kind of seeing right now. So we have Gansey, Ronan, Adam, and Noah, and I feel like we've really been focusing on Gansey, like, mainly because the whole kind of plot situation is dealing with something that he's been looking into for a really long time. The other characters we've been seeing like a decent amount from. Aside from Noah, we don't really know a lot about him. He's kind of an enigma right now, but I feel like we've really been focusing on Gansey and his whole quest in life, which is basically that he believes there is a Welsh king buried somewhere. I don't know if this Welsh king is apparently buried in Virginia, but through all the research that he has done in his life, he has come to the conclusion that this Welsh king, what's his name? Glendower, is, you know, buried somewhere, and whoever finds this king will be granted a favor. Now, I feel like Gansey's not really super interested in the favor. I think he's more obsessed with like the proving supernatural things are real aspect to all of this, but there are definitely some players that we've been seeing in this story so far that would be interested in obtaining that favor. So I'm definitely interested to see if that's going to rear its ugly head as we get further in the series, because I probably will continue the series because I really like the characters. Plot-wise, like, not a ton has really gone on. We've learned essentially like what we are going to be looking for. I feel like this first 200 pages has focused on getting to know the characters, which is honestly kind of alright with me because I think all of these characters are really interesting. They feel very distinct, and I feel like if you're following kind of 5 main characters almost, I think some of them could probably be considered more side characters, but if you're following like 5 people mainly, I gotta be able to tell them apart. And like immediately they all felt very distinct and very different, which is obviously really good. And I also think some of the dynamics that are present in this friendship group are very interesting, maybe borderline slightly toxic, I don't know, but they all go to this very elite school, but most of them are all like they have a lot of money. They're kind of just like throwing it around. They don't fully understand, I feel, the weight of what having that much money means for you in life. So seeing how they interact with people is very interesting. Like at one point the 4 of them went to this pizza place that Blue worked at, and one of them really wanted to talk to Blue because they thought she was cute, and one of the other boys went up to her and he was like, hey, my friend really wants to talk to you. She's like, I'm on the clock, I need this money. He's like, oh, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. And she was like, normal people don't do that. So just kind of seeing some of the interactions that they've had so far have been interesting, but entertaining. I'm also really liking the overall vibe of the story. It feels a little like melancholic almost, but also kind of angsty, but there are some moments of humor in it as well, and I feel like it's a good balance. I'm liking that a lot, and I'm really excited to see some more of these potential fantasy elements, because I'm pretty sure this is fantasy. I would assume like some of the things that right now we're speculating about will probably come to fruition, so I'm excited for all of that. Obviously, this is the first book in like a 4-book series, so I don't know how much of that is going to be present in this book, but I'm liking the characters enough that it doesn't really matter. So, I'm happy to report that I'm liking this. Anyway, I do also have some things that I want to show you because I have some book mail. Guess what it is? Who knows? And I also have some bookmark mail. So I'll show you the bookmarks first because I'm really excited about these, because the lovely Yasmin of Divine Pages & Co. asked if she could send me 2 of her new bookmarks, and I love her bookmarks so much. I use them all the time because I do already have some, so I was really excited. I was like, absolutely. So I want to show you guys them. So we have this really pretty red one. It also has a tassel on it, which Winnie will be very excited about. So I'm gonna have to hide this from her, but it is really pretty, and I also really like the design on it. And then we also have this one with the moon on it, which I think is really pretty, and it has some affirmations on the back, which I think is really fun. So I will have a link to her Etsy shop down below because I do just love her bookmarks so much, and I think you guys should definitely check them out if you want to. So thank you so much to Yasmin. And then I do have like an actual book that I want to open. Any guesses as to what it is? I'm so excited about this. I have been back on my Amazon marketplace grind, okay? I love the used section of Amazon. You can find so many good deals on there, it's insane. And I've been hoping one of these would pop up just because I don't really want to pay like $65 for this right now, but I would pay like $35, so I'm so excited. I also love that it's still in the Dragonsteel box. I think that's so fun. So, ooh, it is so beautiful. Oh my god. So yes, I did decide to pick up I'm gonna take it out of the plastic actually. Okay, there we go. So obviously I decided to pick up Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. This is one of the secret projects, and as soon as I saw the design of this gorgeous, gorgeous book, I knew I needed it. It's so pretty. I love the blue and like the pink details on it. I also love the spine. Oh, it's so pretty. I'm so excited. I think I'm gonna be waiting to read Yumi until I've read a couple more books in the Cosmere. Maybe all of them. I mean, my general goal this year is to catch up with the Cosmere, and I'm pretty close to doing that, so I'm thinking this is going to be like the last one I read, probably. Anyway, I will stop rambling about a book that I'm not even reading in this vlog. So I will get back to you guys once I have finished this up. Okay, hello, it is 8 p.m. now, and I have a very exciting update because I have finished The Raven Boys, and for a little time update, we are at 4 hours and 55 minutes. So, overall, I really ended up enjoying the second part of The Raven Boys. There was one certain reveal that now that I'm thinking back on it, I'm like, should I have seen this coming? But also, I gasped, because what a reveal, honestly. There were also some not fun things happening in the second half of this book because one of our main characters is dealing pretty heavily with domestic abuse. But I feel like plot-wise, things happened, but also, literally, what is the plot of this series? I have no clue. Like, I get the general concept as to what they're trying to do, but I feel like not a whole lot really happened in this book. But to be honest, I'm not that mad about it. I can tell already that this is going to be a very character-driven series, but I feel like with the characters that we are following, I'm definitely really excited about that, because I already really like these characters. I don't feel like, you know, super emotionally invested in them, but I really enjoy them as characters. They're all really great characters, but they do have their flaws or just general things that they're trying to work through in their life. I'm still not absolutely loving our main character, Blue. I feel like I just don't know her very well, even though we get her point of view pretty often. I literally can't tell you anything about her personality at all. But I think the group of like 4 boys that we're following, they're the ones that like really shine in this story, and I just really like following them around. But I do like the dynamic that comes about when Blue is hanging out with all of them, and I feel like that's only going to improve as I read more in the series, because I definitely want to pick up I will probably be reading the other books in the series just for these characters. Because while the small thread of a plot and the fantasy elements that we got in this book, I thought they were good, I thought they were fun, but like, it's really not the forefront of this story. But considering the characters are so compelling, I find that easy to excuse and essentially ignore. I also really enjoyed Maggie Stiefvater's writing style. I feel like it's nothing too over the top, it's nothing really flowery, it's not purple prose, but the way that she is able to craft an atmosphere with the way that she selects her words, I think is really well done. And the overall atmosphere of this book is just so interesting because, like I mentioned earlier, it's kind of melancholic, it's kind of gritty almost, but it also has this really magical undertone to it, which I absolutely adore. I feel like I just love the general vibes of this book. So if you want to pick up a book that's like no vibes, just plot, great characters, I'd recommend The Raven Boys. If you want something a little more substantial as far as plot goes, I wouldn't recommend it. So it is time to select the book that I'm going to be starting next. I'm hoping to do a lot more reading tonight, honestly, because I'm still aiming to read for a total of 8 hours today, so obviously I need to select something else, but I'm just not sure what. I'm thinking Days of Blood and Starlight is going to be the book that I pick up next, because I do love the overall vibe of this series as well, because it is set in Prague. It has very unique fantasy elements, at least I haven't encountered them before, and I really like our main character, and I think there's a bit of a romance brewing that I'm really hoping comes to fruition, because that sounds really fun. Because honestly, like, I just want a little bit of a romance. Like, there is kind of a romance as a secondary plot kind of thing going on in The Raven Boys, but it's not really the focus. It's mainly like the friendships that are the focus, which is not what I was expecting, because I don't think I told you guys this it doesn't really have much of a relevance to the plot so far, at least, because it has been predicted by Blue's entire family of psychics, as well as just other random psychics, I think, that she has gone to see, that if she ever kisses her true love, he will die. And that is the very first thing that is addressed in this book. So honestly, I was expecting it to be like a little more romance centered, but I'm not mad that it's not. I just think that's interesting. But I could do with a little bit of a romance. Ooh, or should I start A Torch Against the Night instead? Maybe. I might start A Torch Against the Night instead, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, that sounds... I like this idea. We are starting A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. This is, I'll explain it to you later. I was gonna go into the whole thing. I'll tell you guys about it later. So, I'm going to go read for hopefully 3 hours. We'll see. And I'll probably catch up with you guys sometime tomorrow. Okay, so it is the next day. It's currently 1 p.m. I have only managed to read for about 50 minutes already today, so not a great start, but it's not the worst start, I guess. My goal for today was to hit the 16-hour mark. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm still going to put it out there that that is my goal for the day, as lofty as it may be. Anyway, as for a little time update, I am at 8 hours and 6 minutes, so we're a third of the way through, which is good. And I do have an update for you guys on A Torch Against the Night. So, I've made it to page 222, which is about halfway through the book. And I'm still continuing to really enjoy this. I don't know how much I'm realistically going to be able to tell you guys about what's going on in this book, just because it's the second book in a series. And now that I think about it, 2 of the other books on this TBR are also second books in series. So I don't know if that was my best idea, but I will try my best to give you guys some good thoughts about it. So if you guys don't know what this series as a whole is about, this is a Middle Eastern inspired young adult fantasy series that is following our 2 main characters, Laia and Elias. Laia is a part of this group called the Scholars, who are currently enslaved under the Martial Empire. And in the very first chapter of the first book, you see the Empire barge into her home, murder her grandparents, and arrest her brother for treason. So her entire motivation throughout the series is to find and rescue her brother from the Empire, because his execution could happen at any point in time. So we're just following her as she will do whatever it takes to save her brother. And then on the very opposite side of things, we are following our other main character, Elias, who in the first book is at this military academy that is a part of the Martial Empire. And initially he wants to desert. He has had enough of being a part of the Empire and he just wants to be free. But due to some certain things that happen in the first book, he ends up essentially getting pulled even deeper into everything that's happening. So we're seeing him kind of grapple with the decisions that he has to make and just try to survive everything that is happening to him. And I honestly think both of them are great main characters to follow. I feel like the things they're going through are so brutal and just unjust, but their stories are so compelling, and it's also a really fast-paced read. And I honestly could not put that book down, so I've been very interested to see how the second book is going to compare. And I feel like the first book is almost a setup book of sorts. Like, there's still a lot of things happening, there's a lot of action going on. As I said, it's very fast-paced, but I feel like it was kind of getting us prepared for whatever is going to happen in the rest of the series, and I feel like we're kind of getting into it now. But in this book, we are still following Laia as she is on her mission and continuing to do essentially whatever it takes to get her brother out of the Empire's grasp. And I really like that that is her main motivation in this series, and seeing the lengths that she will go to do anything to potentially help him, I think is really well done. And also in this book, I'm really excited because there is this kind of major side character in the first book whose name is Helene. She is also attending the military academy that Elias is a part of, but she doesn't exactly have the same feelings that he does about freedom. She is very much like for the Empire, like she will fight for them forever, essentially. So it's a very interesting juxtaposition between her and Elias, because they have both been in this military academy since the age of 6, but seeing just how drastically their thoughts differ on the Empire is very interesting. But she has actually gotten her own point of view in this book, which I was really hoping would happen, and I hesitate to say I'm excited about it, because with her point of view comes a lot of brutality, a lot of rationalizing the horrible things that she's doing, but that's the point, and like that's why you get to see her point of view. But I feel like she's starting to notice some things that are happening. She's like, ooh, I don't know about that. So I'm very intrigued to see what her character arc is going to be like throughout this series, because I feel like right now she kind of sucks. But also, it's kind of the point, so I'm excited to see some more from her character. Also, we have started to see some more of the fantasy elements that are going to be a part of this series, which I'm really, really excited to see some more from. Obviously, because this is a fantasy series, I've been waiting for it to kind of expand on those fantastical elements, because we got a few in the first book. It wasn't enough, so I'm hoping we're only gonna get more. So those are kind of my thoughts so far on A Torch Against the Night. I'm really enjoying it, and I think I'll finish it up today, but I might take a break on this for the time being and start one of my other books. Maybe? I might start Starsight, just because it's so vastly different from A Torch Against the Night, because this is like brutal fantasy. It's good, but like it's a lot of things going on. But I feel like the Skyward series is a bit more lighthearted, and it's also sci-fi, which I think I could be into right now, so I think I might start this. So yeah, that sounds fun. So I'm gonna get into this, and I will give you guys an update when I have one for you. So it is quite a bit later. However, I have made it up to 13 hours and 10 minutes. I am now over the halfway mark, and I'm already tired of reading. So I think my goal for tonight is probably to make it up to the 14-hour mark. It's only like 50 more minutes. I feel like I can do that. And then I'm calling it good for today, because I've had enough. Like 7 hours of reading in a day might be too much now that I think about it. But anyway, I have reading updates, which is more exciting than anything that I've been going on about. So I think I want to start off by talking about Starsight, just because I've made the most progress in this one. I'm on page 268, so I am well over the halfway mark now, and I'm really enjoying it. It's so fun. I'm really glad that I decided to kind of pivot from reading A Torch Against the Night to this for a little bit, because in this one, ooh, the characters are going through it. So I needed a little break from that. And I feel like this was the perfect break, because this is just fun young adult sci-fi. So I'm liking this one a lot, but I don't think I'm liking it as much as I was enjoying the first one. I feel like in the first one, everything was so new and exciting. If you guys don't know, the first book is following our main character Spensa as she is training to become a pilot in the seemingly never-ending war that her planet has going on with this alien race. It's been going on for a long time, so it's really fun to see her go through flight school and meet all of these new people and form some really fun friendships. And I loved the side characters in the first book, so going into this one I was like, oh, I'm so excited to see some more of the side characters. But Spencer's going on a solo mission in this book. So I got like 30 pages of that, and then she was like, all right, I'm gonna like go do this thing by myself over here. I was like, but I want to see the side characters. But it's fine, because I'm still liking it. I just just miss the side characters. Spence's not my favorite main character. She's fine. She's fun. She definitely grew on me over the course of the first book, but I wouldn't like say I love her. But I do think the general premise of this book is definitely fun because through some turns of events, Spencer has found an opportunity to go to a different place in space, because the first book primarily takes place on her own planet, but in this one we are going somewhere else in space. I don't exactly know what you would call the place that she went, but it's a different location. It's kind of fun. And while she is there, her mission is to steal this piece of very critical technology that could be very helpful in her people potentially finally winning the war against the alien people that has been plaguing them for a very long time. So she's kind of going on a spy mission. It's fun. We're also seeing a lot of new aliens, which I think is really interesting because for the most part, we've seen humans because Spencer's a human. But in this book, that has been expanded upon exponentially because she is just surrounded by so many different types of aliens. Like one of the types that she has chosen to ally herself with while she is in this place, she calls them gerbil foxes. I looked up a picture of them. They look super cute, to be honest. But it's really fun to see her interactions with these people because while she is there, she is starting to make some allies. I don't know if I'd call them friends, but like people that she talks to a lot, and I think her interactions with them are very fun. But I just really liked the characters from the first book, so I'm just like a little bit sad about that. However, Mbot, who is like the talking spaceship in this series, is still there. Still cracking some bad jokes, but I do really like what he adds to the story. He reminds me, I feel like I said this when I read the first book too, but the more he talks, the more convinced I am that he is literally just the AI version of Pattern from the Stormlight Archive. The way they talk is very similar. The jokes that they crack are very similar. There's also this one bit where Mbot is trying to say like 1 + 1 is equal to 3 or whatever, but he can't say it because he can't lie. And Pattern also kind of has a thing about lying. Like, I know there's some joke where he's talking about dividing by 0, and that and the 1 + 1 thing just gave me the same vibe. And I really like that because I love Pattern in the Stormlight Archive, so I'm like, this is fine. I can work with this. He's also kind of sassy sometimes, which I think is kind of fun. Like, at one point, Spencer was talking very casually about how she was gonna go do this really stupid thing. And he was like, excellent. Would you like your corpse cremated or ejected into space? And that one got a good laugh out of me, to be honest. I just think these books are so fun. They definitely read like YA, but if you're in the mood for it, I think a lot of people could enjoy it. It's a good time. Definitely very different from a lot of Brandon Sanderson's other work, but I still very much enjoy it. So I'm very excited to see where things are going to go in this. It's just a really easy and fast read, so I feel like this was a good pick for this little readathon thingy. So those are my thoughts on Starsight as of right now. And then I've also read a little bit of A Torch Against the Night, but I do plan on reading some more of this in a bit. I have made it up to page 314. And I feel like all these characters are going through it. I am going through it with them, and I'm just sad every time I pick up this book. So I definitely want to read a little bit more of this tonight. I don't think I'm going to finish it tonight, but yeah. I haven't read a ton of this since the last time I talked to you, but I've read enough to know that, we're all going through it. Yeah, I definitely will be finishing up both of these books tomorrow, I think, which is very exciting. And then I'll probably start Days of Blood and Starlight. There's a chance I might swap that out for something else. I'm not sure yet, but we'll kind of just see. I'm gonna finish these two first, and then I'll figure out if I want to switch up the TBR or not. So, like I said, my goal for tonight is to make it up to the 14-hour mark. I know I said earlier I wanted to make it up to the 16-hour mark, but that is not happening. So I'm going to read some of this for 50 minutes, and I'll probably chat to you guys tomorrow, hopefully with a sizable update. everybody. It is currently Monday morning. I'm mainly here with a short little update. I'm not gonna do any reading updates in this just because I don't want to. We'll do them later. We'll get there. But I did want to let you guys know that I'm at 15 hours and 40 minutes, so woo. I really just wanted to pop on because I have some fun mail that I'm really excited to open, so we'll do that first, and then I'll talk like my plans for the rest of the day after that. So this item isn't necessarily book related. It kind of is, but it's kind of not, but I want to talk about it anyway just because I'm so excited about this. Because I was watching somebody do a fairy loot unboxing in one of their vlogs last week, and as soon as I saw this item, I was like, I need that. I really need that in my life. So I took to Pango because I knew people sold like the little trinkets that you got in fairy loot boxes on Pango sometimes. And I bought this with some Pango bucks. So basically it was free. You know how it is. But check it out. It's a Howl's Moving Castle tea light holder. Let me open it and then I'll show you what I mean. There's a couple pieces here. I'm gonna put it together and then I'll show you. Okay, here it is. Basically, it's one of those things where you put like a lit candle in it and the heat from the flame, I think, is what makes it spin. But it's Howl's Moving Castle themed. Look at the little shooting stars and the little calcifers. I think they're adorable, and I've been wanting one of these spinny things for a while just because I think they're so fun. So when I saw that there was a Howl's Moving Castle themed one, I was like, what a better opportunity to get one of these, you know? So I want to try it out. I have my candle. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this that well, but I will be entertained by it at least. So there's my small bit of mail for the day. I also thought that would be really fun for like aesthetic shots or whatever. I could put it in the background. I thought it would just look nice. Something a little more kinetic, you know? Anyway, that's kind of that. I've just been really excited about this. As for my plans for today, so I have finished up Starsight. I just don't feel like giving you guys my final thoughts on it just yet. I haven't fully gotten ready for the day, so we'll do that in a bit. But my plan for today is going to include finishing A Torch Against the Night, and then I need to start something else. And here's the thing. I'm a little bit burnt out already on all of this reading, so I don't know if I want to start Daughter of Smoke and Bone. No, what's that book called? Days of Blood and Starlight. I'm contemplating starting an audiobook instead and using that for the rest of my time because I'm really excited about the audiobook that I'm thinking about starting. And like I'm a little hesitant, but like mainly excited because I got the audiobook for House of Flame and Shadow a couple of days ago, and I've just been obviously seeing everybody read it. I'm a little bit scared that I'm going to get spoiled for things in it, so I kind of want to start it soon. So I'm thinking the rest of this vlog is gonna be me listening to that. So I just thought that would be a nice way to finish out this readathon challenge without completely burning myself out from reading, because one of my goals for this year is to not stress so much about reading, which you're probably like, Katie, why are you doing this 24-hour readathon challenge if you're not trying to stress yourself out over reading? I thought it would be fun, okay? And it was fun for like the first 16 hours. But then when you think about how much time you have left, you're like, ah, man, I have so much time left. So I think I'm going to physically finish the rest of A Torch Against the Night, but I will still have like 6 hours left, maybe. So I'll probably spend the rest of that time listening to my audiobook for House of Flame and Shadow. I'm not gonna talk spoilers or anything about it, so don't worry. Anything I say is going to be very general in case you guys haven't read it yet and you're still planning to, but I thought it would just be a nice way to finish out these 24 hours, and it is a book that I have to read this month because me and Elaine are buddy reading it, so I think that's what I'm gonna do. As for some other plans that I have for the day, I think the next thing I'm gonna show you guys is me fixing my fairy light situation. I know I told you on the first day of this vlog that I was having a fairy light crisis, and I'm still having a fairy light crisis because I thought I fixed them, but I did not, because these fairy lights suck. And it's not necessarily their fault, it's the fact that they're LED fairy lights, and in the back, I'm sure you guys have noticed, but like in the back of some of these clips in this vlog, they flicker. It's driving me insane. I'm sure it's probably driving some of you guys insane, and I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize until I looked at all the footage last night. So that's the problem currently plaguing my life and this vlog. So immediately last night after I noticed that, I ordered some more normal fairy lights because these don't flicker. So I should be getting those soon. I will probably start to listen to my audiobook for House of Flame and Shadow while I fix this monstrosity. It's not even that bad. I'm sick of these accursed lights. I've looked at so many clips where they're just like blinking. Oh, it's a whole thing. I can't get into it. So I think those are all of the things that I was wanting to tell you in this short update. Honestly, I'm at like 13 minutes now. I cannot film short updates to save my life, but it's fine. Anyway, I'm going to get into fixing my fairy lights, and then I'll come back at you guys with an update, hopefully on House of Flame and Shadow and A Torch Against the Night. Get into the update, gotta crack open a fresh Diet Coke because I had one earlier at lunch, set it on my desk, looked over at one point while I was putting the lights up on my bookshelves, and how did I get Diet Coke on the outside of this can? I looked over at my desk and Winnie was getting a sip of my Diet Coke. I was like, you scamp. You absolute rascal. What are you? She's over there right now. She looks guilty. Needless to say, I'm not drinking after her, but I'm always down for a little fresh afternoon Diet Coke. Anyway, moving into the actual reason I am here, which is obviously to update you guys on how my reading is going. So, I've been spending basically all afternoon listening to the audiobook for House of Flame and Shadow, and I'm at 18 minutes and 3 seconds now on my time. Also, look at my lights. They're back to normal. They're not flickering. Thank God. These lights are also brighter, and the bokeh effect on them might be what it's called. I don't know a lot about photography or camera cinematography or whatever, but like they blur better because they're a bit bigger as well. Anyway, I think I will start with my final update on Starsight for you guys. I don't really have a ton to say aside from the fact that the ending of this book was so fun, and I love the way that this expanded the world. I feel like Spensa had a lot of good character development, and going into this different location gave us an opportunity to see some different points of view on everything that is happening in the galaxy, and it's just so fun. I love these sci-fi elements in this book so much. I want to find more sci-fi, which I know I've said a couple of times, but I read Red Rising back in December. I didn't love it, and I'm not going to continue on with that series. I don't think that's my kind of sci-fi. It was a bit brutal. If you guys have any sci-fi recommendations that are more along the lines of this, it doesn't have to be YA, but something a little more lighthearted. So if you have any recs as far as that goes, I'd love to know. I really like this one. Again, not as much as the first book in the series, but it was still just a really fun time. I really like these characters. I'm kind of excited to continue the series, but honestly, I haven't really heard good reviews of Cytonic. I've heard good reviews of Defiant, which is the book that just recently came out, but the next one in this series I have not seen like amazing things about. Like, I don't think it's bad, but I don't think a lot of people like absolutely love it. So I'm interested to see what I think of it. But I'm really glad that I decided to pick this up, and this means I've read another book off of my 2024 TBR. We all need to take a moment for me, because I have read 4 books so far off of my 2024 TBR. We are 1 month into the year, and I'm 25% of the way done with my 2024 TBR. I think I need to take a little victory sip because I am so proud of myself. And then as for House of Flame and Shadow, I think I'm like 15% of the way through the audiobook. And like, there are a lot of things that I could potentially say. I'm not going to sit here and really complain about this book because honestly, I think that would be really unfair of me to do, considering I knew there were going to be aspects to this book that I wasn't going to 100% love going into it. But my complaints about Sky and Breath are still very much present in this book, which is unsurprising. But because of some certain elements that were being brought in, there are chapters in this book where I'm like, okay, like I was getting so giddy during some of the chapters. I was like, this is so exciting. I love it. And then there are like some other chapters where I'm like, you know, it's fine. I don't absolutely hate it, but I wouldn't say I necessarily care about it. I think listening to the audiobook was a good call for this book for me, because I'm not gonna buy the physical copy of it, mainly because I don't like the way the spine looks with the other two books in the series, which is a dumb reason to not buy a book, but also I'm trying to like cut back on the amount of books that I buy this year, so I'm not gonna be buying the physical copy of it. So I figured between an ebook and an audiobook, the audiobook would be the one that I would be more likely to pick up, but it still allows me to consume the story, and it's just been fun, and I'm so excited to read some more of it. So that is my small update on it for now. Honestly, there are more things that I want to say, but because I want to keep my discussion about it very like general, like I don't want anybody to be spoiled. I don't want to do that to you guys. So I'll just let you know that like it's fun. And I'll leave it at that. Anyway, it is currently about 5 p.m. I have 6 hours of my little readathon left. I don't know if I'm going to be able to complete that today or not. It might spill a little bit into tomorrow, so we'll see if I can do it. I'm thinking my next reading plan is going to be to jump back into A Torch Against the Night and finish this up. I did make it to page 316 last night, so I think I have a little bit over 100 pages left, maybe. Oh, just saw a little spoiler. Whoops. I have, well, that's nothing I couldn't have guessed. I have 130 pages left. Okay, I need to stop flipping through this book. 130 pages left. I want to finish this up, and then for the rest of my time, I will be listening to the audiobook of House and Flame and Shadow. So I will see you guys later with an update. I think right now I might do a little bit of updating in my journal, though, before I get into some reading, because I've finished, like, a couple books, and it's been a minute since I've updated it, so let's do that first, and then I will get into reading this book. Good morning, everybody. So, I woke up this morning and my phone chose violence, okay? Because it reset my timer last night. But it's fine. I, like the very paranoid person that I am, have been taking screenshots of the stopwatch every night before I go to sleep in case something like this were to happen. Edited, but it's fine. So, according to my screenshot, I'm at 22 minutes and 4 minutes. What? I'm at 22 hours and 46 minutes. So I'm not gonna be able to like see my stopwatch hit the 24 hours. I might try and reset it just so I can get a little clip of it for the intro. But like right now, it's not happening right now. But before I ramble on about that any longer, I do have some reading updates for you. So let me talk about those. First of all, I finished A Torch Against the Night. So many bad things were happening at the end of this book that I feel like changed the course of this series entirely. And I am so intrigued to see where things are going to go for our characters. And I'm so scared. I'm just so scared to see what's gonna happen. Do you wanna say hi? Apparently, oh, you are fine. She is so dramatic. Anyway, back to talking about this book. The ending was just so explosive, and I am so excited to get into the third book, A Reaper at the Gates. The only problem is that's going to be our March book club pick, and I don't want to read it right now because I know by the time that the March live show rolls around, I will not have remembered any of what happens in that book, so I'm going to have to wait until March to start it, but I just need to know what happens next because the way that the things that happened at the end of this book are going to impact our characters in very substantial ways going forwards, I need to know what's gonna happen to them, but I can't. I need to wait, but it'll be fine. Anyway, that's all I'll say for A Torch Against the Night. But it was so good. Still probably not a 5-star book, but I just feel like there's potential for one of the books in this series to be 5 stars. I'm not sure because I love this series, but it's not a top favorite right now. But we'll see. We'll see if that changes. I really hope it does. And then my next update is something I'm a little bit less excited to share just because okay, so I've read more of House of Flame and Shadow. I'm on 25% now. And I am so bored. Please help me. I think my main issue with this series is that I could not care less about any of these characters. In Sky and Breath, there were some plot lines involving some characters that I was like genuinely somewhat interested in, and that's kind of what kept me reading that book. But in House of Flame and Shadow, I just don't care about any of them anymore. And even though there are some really cool elements being brought into this book, I find myself also not loving those elements as much as I thought I was going to. I feel like the novelty of it wore off after like the first chapter, and now I'm back to feeling towards Crescent City how I've always felt towards Crescent City. So I knew I wasn't going to fully love this book, but I thought there were going to be some redeeming qualities of it for me, but even those just aren't working. So I will leave my thoughts on House of Flame and Shadow to that for now because I'm not gonna be reading any more of it in this vlog. I just want a little break from it, you know? And I've actually decided on a completely different book that I'm going to be picking up for my last like hour and a half, I think, that I have. Because last night I went to the library and I picked up some holds, and I've decided that I'm actually gonna start the next book in the Raven cycle. So I'm gonna start The Dream Thieves. I'm actually really excited about this. Not that I was expecting to not be excited about this because I did enjoy the first one, but I've just been thinking about the Raven Boys over the last couple of days since I finished it, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I kind of really want to read the next one. So I've decided this would be the perfect book to start in my last hour and a half. Obviously, I'm not gonna get through a ton of it, but I would just like to make some progress in this because I'm really excited about continuing the series. So that seemed like a good idea. So this is what we're gonna do for the rest of this vlog. So I'm really hoping to finish up my 24 hours this morning. I feel like that's definitely doable. I'm really ready for this challenge to be over, to be honest. I feel like in the beginning I was having a good time, but now that we've made it all the way here, I'm like, what if I wasn't doing this challenge anymore? But I've got my Diet Coke. I've got a book that I am very excited about starting, so I'm going to read for an hour and a half, and I will come back with my final update. Okay, so it is a little bit later, and I have finally finished my readathon. So I had an hour and 14 minutes left to read, which I did. Here's some proof if you, for whatever reason, don't believe me. But let me give you my final reading update, and then I will let you guys go. So as I said, I went ahead and started the Dream Thieves, and I did make it up to page 68, which is chapter 9. And I'm so excited to read some more of this series, honestly. I think the more I get to know these characters, the more I do really start to love them. And I can definitely feel the plot thickening a little bit. We're also getting some more fantastical elements thrown in there, which I think are so fun. We've also been introduced to kind of who I'm assuming the antagonist is in this book. So I think it's interesting because the first book had its own antagonist, and that all kind of, I think it wrapped up. And this one we're kind of introducing like a new antagonist. So I'm wondering if it's gonna be like one per book kind of thing, or if one of them's going to remain for the rest of the series. I'm not sure, but it definitely keeps things fresh, a little bit fun. Everybody has their own personal motivations, and I really like that. I'm also really excited because I think in this book we're gonna get some more background on Ronan. I'm basically assuming that because I think he's who's supposed to be on the cover, and there are definitely some things relating to him which I'm very curious about. And I'll leave it at that. But I'm liking this so far. It's just a really fast read, and I find myself just falling into the story. I feel like I'm one of the group, and I love that. Also, one thing I do want to mention, because I know earlier in this video I was talking about how I don't love Blue as a main character. She's kind of just there. But there have been some moments in this book where somebody has just said something that they shouldn't have said to her, and she very vehemently stood up for herself and was like, no, you're not going to talk to me like that. I don't deserve to be treated like that. I was like, okay, put them in their place. I was just sitting there like, good for her. Tell them how you feel. Good communication skills on Blue's part. I'm thoroughly impressed, honestly. But that's kind of all I have to say so far on this book because I'm not super far into it, but I'm enjoying it and I'm really excited to get to some more of it. So let me do a quick recap of all of the books that I read. I also tallied it up and I physically read 1,386 pages, which I'm very happy with. Obviously, I also read some of House of Flame and Shadow. I'm not including the page count in that because I listened to it audibly. But let me go through the books that I finished and the books that I started. So first of all, I picked up The Raven Boys and I really enjoyed this. I'm so glad this got chosen for one of the books in that Patreon vlog because I honestly don't think I would have gotten around to picking it up had it not been for that video. Like, this has been on my radar for quite a while and I've known that I wanted to try it again, but I'm not sure if I ever would have prioritized it enough to pick it up. But now that I have picked it up, I'm so happy that I decided to do so. So there's the first one. Then I finished Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. Really fun. Not as fun as the first one, but still a good time. I'm a little scared to see what Cytonic is like because I just haven't heard great reviews, but I will be picking it up at some point in time. I think there are also some novellas that I have to read before I get to Cytonic anyway, so well, I'll do that eventually. Then I finished A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. Again, really enjoyed this one. And then as for books I started House of Flame and Shadow. I think I'm 25% of the way through it. I'm not sure if I'm going to include it in any other vlog. I'm just not having an amazing time with it so far. So I'll probably finish that one on my own. I might give you guys some final thoughts and a wrap up at some point, but for now just know that it happened. It's happening. And then obviously I started The Dream Thieves. So I started/finished 5 books in total in this vlog, which is very exciting. I got to a bunch of books that I've been needing to pick up. I honestly feel so on top of everything now. Like, I finished the Women's and Words book club pick. I read one of the books for the vlog that I have to film. I read a book on my 2024 TBR. I think I'm just kind of killing it, to be honest. Like, I'm pretty proud of myself. Anyway, that is kind of all that I have for you guys today. I really hope you enjoyed this little readathon vlog. I have mixed feelings about doing 24-hour readathons with the timer method. Like, they're fun, but then sometimes they're not fun. So you probably won't see another one of these from me until sometime next year when I inevitably delude myself into thinking that it's a good idea. But I really hope you guys enjoyed. Obviously, I would love to know down below, have you read any of the books that I read in this vlog? There are quite a few options that we have here because, as I said, I've done some good reading this week. So I'd love to chat about them with you guys, but if you have not read any of them, obviously just let me know. What have you guys been reading recently? What are you up to? Literally anything you want to tell me, I am all ears. Also, before we go, I did want to give a quick shout out to everybody over on my Patreon. Love you guys. If you guys are ever looking for more content from me, it is always linked down below. Do some fun stuff over there. But aside from that, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.